Okay, interview with Betsy Bitch, lead singer and founding member of Bitch. How are you doing today, Betsy?
Oh, I'm spectacular on this lovely Sunday afternoon.
Little hungover from last night, but
You want to talk about it?
I went and saw Black and Blue. Remember them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, saw Black and Blue at the Knitting Factory. And everybody was buying me glasses of champagne, and it was an offer I couldn't refuse, or many offers I couldn't refuse. So, but it was good. The show was good. They sounded good. They looked good. It was packed. It was a cool night, but I'm feeling a little fragile today. But
Okay, well, we'll be real gentle with you.
it's a wonder what makeup can do, isn't it?
Well, you look good.
Thank you.
You look good. You overall the years.
I don't feel good, but it's better to look good than to feel good.
No, we're doing the Fernando thing. Okay, how did you get started in music? What first got you started? What influenced you?
Am I looking at the red light or at the lens?
You're fine. You're fine.
But no, what am I supposed to be looking at? The red light?
Just keep looking. You're doing fine. Just look straight ahead.
Oh, okay. How did I get started? Well, I've always been very musical. You know, there was always music in my family. My dad's a jazz musician professionally, still is.
Did he play with anybody big, or?
Actually, yeah, he did. He played with some of the big bands on the road.
help me out here, Mom.
What?
What bands did Dad play with?
Am I allowed to come in?
Oh yes,
I'll
ma'am.
sit over here out of your.
You might be on the cutting room floor, but
That's fine. I've been
what
there
bands
before.
what big bands did Dad play in?
Oh, well, when I met him, he was with Buddy Rich,
Oh wow, great! That is the greatest drummer in the world. Period.
Buddy Rich.
and also the biggest asshole that ever lived.
Okay,
no,
that's
no,
all.
no. You're not supposed to.
Oh, is
say
that on? Because is that being
on
recorded?
the
No, don't worry about it. Everybody has their opinions on everything. That's okay.
This is my
Please, Dad.
interview.
No, he
Okay.
used to find the guys when they weren't wearing the right color socks. That
Yeah,
was
okay.
interesting.
Okay, so he was on the road with big bands. He also, as you know, as a musician now, that's his trade. He works in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He opens, he backs up musical people like Tony Bennett, and plays the music like behind like Don Rickles, and plays for Frankie Valli, and you know, just the casino acts that come
Right.
in. He's normally in the house band that plays these shows. And yeah, so anyway, so he's a musician, and my mother was in theater, and you know, mostly like musical comedies, and I was always like singing show tunes walking around my house, and you know, so I always grew up in a musical family, and and as far as the rock thing goes, I just, you know, as a preteen and you know, 14, 15-year-old, I fell in love with Alice Cooper, and you know, just started getting into like the glam, you know, the glitter scene, Bowie and
New York Dolls, stuff like
New
that.
York Dolls, yeah, T-Rex.
Okay.
And one day one evening I went to go see the Runaways at this club called the Starwood,
Right.
which is no longer there in Hollywood, and I saw these girls up on stage, and I just said, hey, you know, I think I can do that, and specifically what Sherry Curry was doing, and I could just see myself up there, you know, grabbing the mic and rocking out, and you know, running around in little to no clothing, and yeah, so that's kind of how it started, and then I got into my fair share of garage bands, and
Any of them that you want to name? Any that did anything really after you left?
well, there was one. I mean, there was a few that didn't do anything. We just played gigs. I
Right.
think one gig we played was at a like a retarded person's home, like a home for mentally disabled
Right.
people and mentally
Right.
challenged people. And then eventually I got into a band called the Box Boys, and
Okay.
that kind of went somewhere. We had a couple singles out, and we used to play with Berlin because they were on the same label as
Really?
us, Zone H Records, yeah.
Was that before Berlin got big too, or is that when they were starting to take off?
It was starting before they were big, and then when they were, you know, just starting to take off,
Okay.
they got famous when we knew them and were playing with them. So yeah, so that band kind of blossomed into something. It started out new wave,
Yeah.
and then they wanted to do something different, and nobody was doing ska back then. This was like the late 70s.
Right.
So they turned it into a ska band,
Okay.
and made me put on like a suit and a tie, and put my hair up, and wear no makeup, and put on like a little pork pie hat.
Right.
I had to skank around stage, and it just totally wasn't me. So
Wasn't there somewhere in that, someone in that band that made it, that went into a bigger band? Greg?
Well, Greg
Greg
Souders.
Souders.
What band? He was in.
What does that name sound
They
familiar?
dress like
Greg
Western
Souders.
people. They dress like.
He's a drummer, and he
Rough
was
Riders or
in
something like that.
yeah, something rider.
Long Riders?
Long Riders. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, and then he went on to he was like an A&R guy, and then Perry Watts Russell, who was our manager, went on to be like a huge A&R guy at like Atlantic or something like
Okay.
that. So anyway, so that we released some music with that band, and that got us a little bit of notoriety, and then we were also featured on the soundtrack to a movie called Fade to Black.